Beneath the unyielding Egyptian sun, the quarry pits stretch endlessly like scars upon the earth, whispering tales of lost souls and broken dreams. This is not a place of majestic pyramids or pharaoh's grandeur, but of crippling toil and relentless endurance. Barefoot, you step into a realm where suffering seems to cast the only shade. The air is thick with dust and desperation, the ground littered with the remnants of over 1,000 brutal sunrises. The overseer's shouts cut through the heat like blades. Here you're not building history but clawing at survival. Welcome to the Quarry, where stones endure longer than men. Begin now this journey into a time when the sun was both a giver of life and a relentless taskmaster, under whose unyielding gaze men toiled at the quarry pits of ancient Egypt. The horizon stretches endlessly, a bleak wasteland of cracked limestone glowing under the harsh glare of daylight. Each footstep echoes through a barren landscape, interrupted only by the rhythmic scrape of copper against rock. Here every sound is a testament to the unwavering human will, battling nature's might. Barefoot, these workers shuffle across the desolate expanse, feeling the abrasive textures of stone and sand beneath. The quarry is both a stage and a relentless cycle, where each dawn signals not hope but a new chapter in the enduring saga of toil and endurance. The sun, an ever-watchful overseer, demands its due from those it surveys. With each sunrise, men rise to join the unbroken line of labourers, their identities consumed by the monumental tasks that history has thrust upon them. Under the blazing Egyptian sky, the sun perches like an unblinking eye, surveying each hardship with impartial brutality. Its scorching rays wrap around the labourers, welding fatigue to their bodies and steeling resolve within their hearts. Amongst the jagged crags, shade is a luxury often out of reach, leaving muscles to burn and minds to focus on the unending task. The quarry air is heavy with the scent of sweat mingling with stone, a pungent reminder of their Sisyphean struggle. Their tools, ancient and unforgiving, echo through the sun-baked air. Men wield them with a rhythmic precision that speaks to years of bruising familiarity. Each strike a dialogue between human persistence and unyielding rock. Copper chisels and pounding hammers compose a symphony of labour, a testament to the tenacity required to shape stone with such rudimentary implements. Covered in dust, their bodies bear marks of countless battles fought against Earth's stubborn crust, their determination etched into every surface they defy. Overseers loom like spectres, their presence casting a pall of dread across the sweltering expanse. Neither draped in finery nor vested with compassion, they are harbingers of order and control, ensuring that the ceaseless rhythm of labour never falters. Hierarchies are drawn with harsh strokes, binding all within the rigid frames of duty and expectation. Yet even these men, wielders of authority, are not immune to the subtle tides of fear and responsibility that the Empire's relentless demands impose. Despite the oppressive cycle, a flicker of resilience persists in the souls beneath their sunburnt skins. Each man bears a history, a story inscribed in the sweat of his brow and the calluses of his hands. It is a heritage of survival that finds humour amid despair, camaraderie in shared burdens. In whispered conversations and fleeting smiles, the spirit of humanity endures, weaving a fragile but vital tapestry of defiance against the drudgery that defines their days. Beneath the surface of this endeavour lies the Earth's silent resistance, plotting unpredictability as workers chip away at its ancient facade. Stones fracture unexpectedly, ground shifts subtly. Yet these men adapt, learning to read the silent language of stone. Each choice they make is measured in equal parts courage and caution, knowing that beneath each slab lies the potential for both fortune and misfortune. In this crucible, survival dances with danger, forging instincts attuned to the land's capriciousness. Under the sun's rain, bodies strain, minds falter, yet endurance steels their souls against collapse. Muscles tire under relentless pressure, but stubborn hearts beat a refrain of defiance. The sun drinks their sweat, evaporating their moisture until only the ghosts of effort remain. Each day's march is a battle won against fatigue, as hope clings precariously to visions of a distant relief that teasingly shimmers like a mirage on the horizon. Dust hangs in the air, a tangible testament to their efforts. Every breath is laden with the particulate remnants of their labours, inhaled and exhaled in an ongoing communion with the quarry itself. The very air they draw sustains them even as it threatens to choke out life, an uneasy alliance between man and material. But in every lungful of grit, there is a shared understanding of purpose. The knowledge that with each inhaled fragment, a piece of their toil finds its place among the stars. Faces weathered by the sun and lined by effort tell silent stories of lives expended in the service of something far greater. Without recognition, these labourers carve their legacies into the stones that will outlast them, their narratives ingrained in every chisel mark and fractured stone. Their labours feed the ambitions of a power far beyond their reach. Though nameless to history, they live on within the heart of the great structures they have willed into being, an eternal part of the monuments fashioned by their unwavering hands. As night draws its velvet curtain across the quarry scene, the workers gather near campfires, seeking solace and reflection in the flickering glow. As the flames dance, they stir meals of grains and sparse meats, finding in these moments a fragile respite amidst their relentless toil. These nights are fleeting yet profound, small sanctuaries where conversations bridge the divide between despair and resolve, where hopes for another day sustain them. Within every stone they've hewn lies not just a monument to kings, but a testament to mortality, the eternal pursuit of legacy amidst the sands of time. As stars scatter across the darkened sky, they too fade into the background, leaving beneath the stone a mystery written in the enduring toil of hands strong enough to defy time's passage, yet tender enough to hold hope in their grasp. The sweltering sun hangs high over the limestone quarry, an unrelenting force as brutal as the desert it shadows. In your hands rests the primitive tool of the trade, a dolerite pounder, a heavy, unpolished rock shaped by necessity, not finesse. It demands nothing short of endurance, and as you carry its weight, you're acutely aware that its dull edge holds no promise of elegance. Each swing is a contest against the earth itself, a negotiation wrapped in the rough embrace of stone and muscle. Blisters appear quickly, heralding a transformation under the blistering sun, a grueling journey etched into the fabric of your skin. The rhythmic hammering syncs with your heartbeat, thud, 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 becoming the soundtrack of an ancient tradition, a testament to the labourer's resilience. The overseer's shouts slice through the air, an omnipresent tyranny cloaked in authority. His shadow looms large, a constant reminder that reprieve is a foreign concept here. Within this grueling rhythm, your hands blister, but they also learn. Fellow workers, mirroring the scars you now bear, tell tales of how hardened palms become shields against the unyielding demands of this ancient craft. Time here flows differently, marked not by the lazy ticking of hours, but by the relentless passage of sun and shadow. Throughout your day, the overseer's nod occasionally grants brief respites, pragmatic mercies dictated not by benevolence but by necessity. There is no clock to dictate the rhythm, only the unyielding progress of sun and toil. As the stars dot the ancient sky, the labour does not cease but only transforms. Under the indifferent night, the music of hardship continues, each note a collision of stone and sinew. Navigating the quarry floor becomes a dance of pain and precision, where the right angle of strike and measured force make all the difference between success and shattered stone. Over time, what begins as painful labour morphs into an intimate dialogue between you and the rock, one where subtle vibrations whisper secrets of the stone's hidden weak points. Those who master these nuances earn moments of cautious admiration from their peers, under the watchful eyes of the overseer. Your world shrinks to this interplay of elements, dust, sweat and stone. Here wisdom is couched in experience, painful lessons no teacher but hardship provides. Each swing of the pounder carves away another layer of limestone and ignorance alike, leaving behind a testament to human ingenuity. You come to understand that the power isn't just in the hammer's weight, but lies also in the precision learned through repetition and error. In the overseer's eyes, your worth is measured not by your name, but by your productivity. The pyramid's unwavering deadline, a spectre haunting both overseer and labourer. As you work, the rumblings of your comrades fill the air, a symphony of effort and resolve that speaks of a shared burden and uncelebrated brotherhood. Each block wrested from the earth marks another step toward an eternity promised to men who will never see it. Pyramids rise, imperious and eternal, casting long shadows over the toil and tears that built them. Yet their grandeur speaks to the world of divinity and immortality, despite being forged in the crucible of human hardship. Each blistered palm contributes silent verses to the enduring story of empires spoken across the ages. Here in the quarry's heart lies evidence not only of relentless ambition, but also of resilience carved into every slab destined for history's gaze. This intimacy with the stone grows into something more profound, a shared language, a collective history between man and matter. Over countless generations, the heritage of the monumental labour is imbued within fractured hands, passed down as wisdom and survival etched into the very bone. Lessons are learned, given voice in ancient dust, and bodies become vessels of memory, each scar a diary of adversity and endurance. In this harsh theatre, the paradox of progress unveils itself, brutal, relentless labour that gives birth to monuments of unparalleled beauty and magnificence. These stone giants, raised from the backs of those who worked unseen, remain as testaments to civilizations long past, their stories whispered still in the quarry dust. As the sun's passage bears witness, so too do the stones, each one a chapter in a saga of human endeavour. Though your name may fall into obscurity, your contribution weaves into the timeless testament enshrined in the pyramids. The bruises, the dust, the sweat, all meld into a shared legacy, unabashedly human, marked upon the earth in a language of labour that transcends time. Bruised palms tell the tale of centuries, of dreams hewn from hardship, of the simple, enduring aspiration to leave a fingerprint upon the fabric of eternity. Under the relentless Egyptian sun, the quarry vibrates with the labour of men whose legacy is imprinted upon every slab of stone. Above, the sky remains a molten expanse, blurring the boundaries between land and horizon, and the air is thick with the persistent hum of activity. As the sun blazes its unyielding path, limestone dust pervades the air, born anew with each hammer's strike, forming a shroud that envelops all in its reach. Workers become indistinguishable under this layer of grit, their sweat-soaked garments transformed into uniforms of endurance against the constant assault. The dust is invasive. It coats tongues, clogs nostrils, and infiltrates lungs, turning every breath into a laborious act of survival. Men squint against the burning onslaught of grit that gnaws at their vision, squirming into the softest corners of weary eyes, drawing tears that mix with the dust. In this unforgiving atmosphere, ailments seize opportunity. Respiratory diseases spread with the ease of whispers carried on the wind, leaving once sturdy chests convulsed in coughs, specked red with struggle. Yet amidst this unyielding reality, the labour persists, as if driven by the silent clockwork of Pharaoh's expectations, leaving no room for weakness or ailment in the ancient sands of time. Within these pits, the enemy is not only the relentless stone, but one's own frail body. From sunrise to sunset, muscles clench and scream in an endless dance of crude tools against ancient stone. The sun spares none, burning faces and searing shoulders, while sweat mingles with the ever-present dust, forming a slick and inescapable coating. Hands bear the brunt, palms worn raw, blistered and bloodied as their labour scars deeper than skin. The pitiless heat seeps vigour from bones, replaced by a drowsy befuddlement that turns the quarry floor into a precarious sea. Vision blurs as exhaustion claws at the edges of awareness, leaving men swaying between the need to endure and the body's urge to collapse. Tepid water, promised slivers of respite, offers little relief, pooling heavily in stomachs as a sombre reminder of scarcity in the face of overwhelming need. The vast desert lies as a haunting illusion against the horizon, offering the tantalising mirage of freedom to exhausted labourers. Yet, the desert's expanse serves only as a reminder of their own confined existence within dust-laden bounds. The labourers find solace neither in the work, which is assuredly grim, nor in dreams of escape, which whisper of a harsher fate beyond the cursed sands. Here, within the pits, the mirage of liberation remains untouched, a cruel temptation that mocks as it vanishes. Workers of possible escape circulate amongst the men, but they remain grim fantasies against the truth of dehydration and the certainty of discovery in the relentless desert. Thirst becomes an insistent spectre under the pitiless heat, consuming thoughts and sucking life from parched throats. Water, a rationed luxury, is consumed in reverent sips. Overseers maintain rigid control over its distribution, each measured drop serving as a reminder of both power and necessity, a transient balm against the scorching air. Men fantasize fleetingly of cool, clean water, a vision of Nile-fed prosperity swiftly shattered by their current rationed reality. As each metal cup is emptied, the bitter liquid marking time in the unending cycle of thirst and endurance, the workers sustain life beneath a deity's unyielding gaze. The quarry resounds with a thunderous symphony of labour, the reverberation of hammers on stone, chisels carving into the bedrock, and the shouts of overseers echoing against the walls. This cacophony weaves into their consciousness, an unrelenting backdrop that persists beyond the workday, following them into restless dreams. Even in moments of relative quiet, ears ring with a chorus of remembered sounds, a haunting ghost of labour. Conversations struggle to breach this din, reduced to nods and gestures, hints of camaraderie amid the relentless clamour. In the thundering heart of the quarry, noise becomes an identity, a testament to the ceaseless drive of both man and stone. As the dust clouds persist, workers find themselves balancing on the knife edge between sight and blindness. The unceasing assault of grit inflames eyes, blurring the world into a smeared canvas of blurred shapes and shadows. As peripheral vision stripped away by fractured stone, muscle memory guides hands to tools, each strike fueled more by instinct than sight. Blindness, whispering at the edges of their resolve, becomes a carrier of cruel fate, another layer of trial among the unyielding stone. In dimmed vision, tools become less precise instruments of fate, wielded tentatively, with a whim of grit and circumstance overriding skill. Fatigue drapes over the quarry like an oppressive veil, suffusing every fibre of existence with its relentless weight. Each movement grows heavy when burdened by exhaustion, drawing deep from reserves already stretched thin. In this energetic deprivation, marked by the crack of overseers' whips, heads nod briefly while hunger and thirst taunt in moments of brief, enforced respite. Food and drink serve merely as company. The relentless march of tasks and the rising sun reaffirm the enduring cycle of effort amid sun and grit. And yet, it is within these exhaustive depths that flickers of humanity surface. Shared glances, knowing nods of weariness, and fleeting smiles igniting in the dim. Underneath fatigue's tyranny lies a shared endurance, a fraternity transcending dust, stone, and time. In the blistering heart of the quarry, the faces around you blur into a tapestry of exhaustion and shared suffering. Each man here, whether scarred veteran or hopeful novice, weaves a silent brotherhood born from relentless toil. The sun is merciless, painting fine lines of fatigue on every skin and carving resignation into the expressions of those too young to bear such weight. Among these silent warriors are men who have weathered years under this pitiless sky. They carve through stone with a practiced rhythm, their bodies conditioned to the task, even as the environment etches away at their spirits. Beside them, younger men struggle, their inexperience amplifying the harshness of the labour, where the quarry doesn't tally years but numbers days endured in its relentless cycle. A muffled thud disrupts the rhythm as a man falters, succumbing to the mineral-infused heat and backbreaking demands. His fall is met with a brief, silent acknowledgement. Here, individual misfortune barely stirs the dusty routine. Each collapse is just another placeholder in the unfaltering line of labour, an urgent signal for another to step in and hammer out the endless blocks under the overseer's harsh gaze. Life here balances on the edge of survival, where each cautious step wavers precariously on a tightrope of fate, and a single misstep can spell disaster. Death wraps the quarry in a blanket of unsettling peace, partially muffling the clangour of tools and the drone of toil. In the transient pause that follows a collapse, a sombre calm passes, a fleeting tribute to the fallen who find refuge in this muted end. It whispers a grim reassurance, offering a brief respite from the continuous struggle before the sun once again demands its due, unyielding in its cycle of light and darkness. The quarry isn't the cradle of legends. Instead, it tests the limits of human endurance, an arena where mortality often proves the stronger opponent. Workers sidestep the bodies with a resigned familiarity, a reminder of their fragility and the harsh lottery of their existence. Death here is a constant, not feared but acknowledged. A silent companion whose presence dictates the tempo of life. In the blazing heat, a glance at a faltering comrade signals its approach, each breath strained against the weight of impending oblivion. In this ecosystem, lives are expendable, currency in the brutal economics of survival. Workers, neither enslaved nor truly free, labour under harsh conditions where a man's value is counted in blocks and stones. Here life is a relentless exchange of flesh and spirit for limestone, ensuring the pyramids rise, even if men must fall. Though suffering seems to unify them, nuances endure. Small gestures, a shared cup of warm water, whispered encouragement, underscore flickers of camaraderie amid the desolation. Even here, a hierarchy exists within the quiet semblance of equality, a sombre fellowship bonded through necessity and grit. While overseers wield authority like mythical sentinels, they too are bound by the weight of their role. They are as trapped as the workers, enforcing Pharaoh's will, maintaining the arduous rhythm without pause. Yet they, like the workers, pay a price for their position. As one cough becomes a death rattle, a detached nod acknowledges the necessity to move on, eternity awaiting no one. Not all in the quarry are slaves, but here, freedom becomes a bitter irony. Conscripted when the Nile recedes, free men discover that their freedom is but another chain, binding them as tightly as any shackle. Seasonal labour is a harsh master, an opportunity and obligation tangled together, leaving scant room for individual destiny. Titles dissolve into dust under the harsh light of day, as rank and privilege give way to scars and endurance. Life here is transient, each man another cog in the grand mechanism of pyramid construction. Daily encounters with oblivion reinforce a bitter truth. Their labour immortalises Pharaoh, yet erases their own legacy. Hands chip stones that will endure eons, yet the men evaporate into anonymity, their toils absorbed into history's shadow, unnamed and unremarked. It is ironic, almost poetic, that mortality crafts monuments to immortality, but offers its bearers no such promise. Despite this anonymity, a wordless respect for their craft lingers. The pyramids they mould become structures defying time's decay. This shared labour bridges the gap between mankind's fleeting existence and its enduring achievements. In building the great monuments, they create a paradox. Their blood, sweat, and dust fuel the construction of eternity, yet leave them invisible within history's gaze. The stones tell their silent story, a legacy not in names but in weight and endurance. For those who toiled and fell, oblivion becomes a companion, harsh yet strangely comforting, an acceptance of their part in something greater. Each dawn they rise where toil and suffering find continuity in the quest for permanence, the challenge stretching endlessly before them, like the sun rising over the quarry dust, unyielding and eternal. Under the relentless sun, the quarry vibrated with the sharp echoes of pounding dolerite against limestone, a symphony of survival. Every worker, with muscles taut and skin bronzed by the desert sun, engaged in a perilous dance with fate. The limestone blocks they sought to free from nature's grip held threats as substantial as the work they achieved. The earth, indifferent and ancient, sometimes stirred unpredictably, reminding them of its latent power. Each swing of the pounder carried an unspoken plea, a silent bargaining with forces both seen and unseen. A misplaced foot on the rollers, a mistimed swing, and in an instant, stone fragments, sharp as the ambitions they embodied, would fly, tearing through flesh. Accidents were a grim certainty, woven into the daily toil of the quarry workers in ancient Egypt. The physical injuries were stark reminders of the frailty that accompanied their monumental task. A misjudged strike could shear off a slab, turning limbs into ragged, unusable parts of their owners. Collapsed lungs, pierced eyes, crushed fingers. These were the everyday risks in their pursuit to feed the pharaoh's ambitions. The overseers, harsh and unyielding, valued these men not for their names but for their ability to chip away rocks at a relentless pace. Life in the quarries was about survival, and survival was itself a victory over the inevitable. Witnessing such horrors could strip a man bare of his spirit, uncovering truths that no one would say aloud but everyone felt deeply. This place, this barren wasteland of stone and sweat, demanded a heavy toll. Yet amidst the noise and the dust they toiled on, driven by the sparse promise of bread and beer, a meagre proof of life in exchange for backbreaking endurance. The instant an accident struck, chaos would ensue, a slice of normality dissolving into screams that, even when they faded, lingered in the quarry's shadows, binding each worker with the dark thread of shared fate. When injuries struck, the remedies were primitive. They knew of honey as a salve, of herbs crushed for pain relief, but little could mend a spirit, as it could a limb. Infection scuttled through open wounds, sapping the strength of the most stalwart among them, whispering of death as a looming presence yet to carve its signature in stone. The injured, unable to contribute to the pharaoh's grand vision, watched their strength bleed into the sand, each drop a testament to the indifference of time and ambition. There was no pause for mourning. Those who could not rise again were invisible casualties of ceaseless progress. For those fighting merely to stand another day under the sun, every interaction with stone was charged with a grim awareness of their humanity and its limits. Compassion among peers was a muted cry, often absorbed by the colossal ambition that consumed individual lives. Between the strikes of tools, stories of resilience and quiet suffering poured forth among workers who knew that the pyramids, while eternal, could not preserve their fleeting existence. They found solace in shared hardship, binding their stories through songs and whispered tales that bore witness to both survival and loss. Tools meant to shape stone sometimes turned against their wielders. The heaviness of the dolerite pounder, supposed to serve human intent, would recoil, causing unexpected harm. Workers swiftly learned of the thin line between control and chaos, as haphazard alignment could bring untimely disaster. Ropes their strength tested daily could betray with a whispered snap or a grating burn, ensnaring limbs in their tangled grip. These moments of betrayal were stories told with a sense of resignation, warnings for the wise, lessons etched with blood and softened only by the passage of time. Beyond the blistering heat and crushing stone, dangers leached from the environment itself. Disease prowled as an unseen predator, festering in stagnant water, fermenting in the supplies meant to sustain. At night, when the workers sought respite, their sanctuaries betrayed them, spaces tight and laden with the risk of contagion. Illness was a spectre, woven into their nights of fitful rest, preying upon exhausted frames, dragging spirits down with the inexorable gravity of sand. In every tragedy, amidst the sparks of survival, the quarrymen gleaned lessons from the fallen. Tales of endurance trickled down like water through stone, forming a body of knowledge born from the relentless necessity of adaptation. Around their fires, they sculpted these stories into guides for the young, transforming personal misfortune into collective wisdom, an inheritance of hard-fought insights that could stave off despair and forge strength from desperation. These tales, shared and retold, fostered a hard resilience, a testament to a spirit that stood tall against the towering stones they carved from the earth. In those moments, amid the punishing cadence of labour, a community was forged in the heat, a living homage of spirit etched into stone for eternity. From the moment a pharaoh ascends the throne, the echo of eternity beckons. The construction of his pyramid is both a legacy and a divine charge, a monumental task meant to ensure both his afterlife and the enduring proof of his divine status. The grandeur of each stone laid aims to echo the pharaoh's eternal journey into the afterlife. A tomb magnificent enough to house a god-king, transcending beyond the mere function of a final resting place. For the pharaoh, the pyramid is not just built in stone, but in an unyielding portrayal of divine power, with every block reflecting a step into the eternal unknown. Yet in the shadow of such divine ambitions, the human toil at the quarry foreshadows a much harsher reality. The labour required to meet the pharaoh's eternal deadline demands unceasing dedication. Time, it seems, stretches endlessly for the gods, but for these labourers it is a constant antagonist. Pushed by overseers, the workers face a countdown carved into every grain of sand beneath their feet, a relentless march toward a goal that demands ceaseless exertion and often personal oblivion. Mortals contend with the irony of their expendability amidst the divinely immortal. The timeline itself is a celestial command, decreed not by men but by the omniscient gaze of gods, and observed through the precise movements of stars and seasons. The pharaoh's advisors pore over the heavens, matching construction's pace to the occasional nod of divine approval. But when skies shift, the heavens give no heed to disruptions on earth, whether through stifling weather or calamitous shortages. These earthly interruptions test the mettle of labourers who, in their sweat and struggle, etch every delay deeply into their exhausted bodies. Theirs is a grim dance under a relentless sun, each hammer's clang reverberating the overseer's impatience, a tormenting symphony that commands unwavering perseverance. At the quarry's heart stand the overseers, stalwart guardians of the pharaoh's will. Chosen for their unyielding nature, they wield authority like a chisel, a tool both essential and merciless. Their presence commands productivity, transforming weary hands into mechanisms of monumental achievement. With voices like thunder amidst the clamour, they lead this human orchestra of suffering with an exacting tempo. Indeed, their power shapes not just stones but the very fates of men, determining who is afforded a moment's reprieve and who is condemned to endure the unyielding demands without respite. These raw stones, limestone, granite, basalt, are more than mere material. They are the sinews of eternity itself. The choice of stone carries the weight of symbolism. Limestone for the bulk, granite for sacred chambers, basalt for stark contrast. Extracting these materials becomes a task imbued with both physical and otherworldly gravity. Every slab a critical piece of divine architecture. In the depth of the pits, the quarrymen fight geology's stubborn layers. Each strike an act of defiance against nature itself. To touch this stone is to be part of the god's grand design, each worker's suffering, a silent prayer woven into eternity. Despite the weight of divine ambition, the human spirit persists. Shadows of doubt and despair hang heavy, but in their midst, resilience flickers like stars against the night sky. Amid the dust and din, camaraderie forms in clandestine whispers and shared glances. Under unyielding expectations, workers find solace in small rebellions, stories shared, jokes exchanged, and moments stolen from the biting tempo. Solidarity grows from these efforts, weaving a fragile thread that connects their shared humanity beneath the oppression of stone and sun. Spiritual obligation, too, entwines with their labour. Each block laid is a step in a sacred journey that transcends individual hardship. There exists a belief that their toil serves a purpose beyond their immediate suffering, securing favour in an afterlife where the pharaoh's protection awaits. This faith binds them to their task, a spiritual tether that holds them when physical strength fades. In their belief, as immovable as the stones themselves, quarrymen find purpose where body meets spirit, enduring a laborious present with an eye toward eternal reward. Amidst this regiment of labour, the stonemasons stand as reluctant artists, tasked not only with brute labour, but with the delicate precision of crafting each piece into perfection. Their artistry ensures that the pyramid does not merely rise but endures, with seams invisible to time's demand, and the pharaoh encased in seamless eternity. Their hands shape celestial order from chaos, creating a structure that bridges heaven and earth. Though they remain anonymous, their legacy is eternal, a tribute to the human potential carved from stone. The race against time unfolds with a perilous urgency. Beneath the sweltering sun, every misstep harbours danger, from dehydration to stone's crushing weight. Yet, as the deadline looms like a predator in shadow, every worker confronts the limits of endurance, battling fatigue and the ever-present spectre of death. In a world where flesh and blood become machinery, every human pulse propels progress, echoing the mythic craftsman Hephaestus. The worker's collective strength embodies the restless heart of creation, driving ambition through pure resolve. As the pyramid rises, its form becomes a legacy living through the ages, a silent testament to the countless hands that bore it into existence. In its shadow, only echoes remain, whispers in the wind of forgotten names and vanished stories, yet their imprint remains indelibly etched into the eternal stone. The pyramids stand as monuments not just to Pharaoh's ambition, but as bridged histories, a reminder of human resilience drawn from the sands across time, whispering through the ages with tales of endurance and potential beyond measure. In the searing heat of the Egyptian sun, labourers in the ancient quarries of Egypt were not merely slaves toiling under the chains of oppression. Their reality was a complex tapestry, woven with the threads of both enslaved souls and free men, conscripted by the edicts of state necessity. This diverse workforce was united in a singular purpose, regardless of their varied origins. During the seasons when the Nile's embrace left the fields submerged, free peasants, their fields drowned, found themselves summoned to Pharaoh's grandiose projects, bartering their effort for bread and beer, the currency of a labourer's relentless life. Though their chains were metaphorical, their burdens were no less real. The desert sun became the great equaliser, bleaching distinctions of social standing in its unforgiving light. In these shared struggles, any dreams of prosperity quickly evaporated, as men and women became mere cogs within the immense machinery of Egyptian ambition, driven by survival more than volition. It was a precarious existence, not far removed from slavery, where the legal status of freedom was fleeting, as harsh realities blurred these lines amid the blistering demands of labour and life. Conscription was an ancient practice, a vital thread in Egypt's historical narrative. Pharaohs utilised this system to ensure that ambitions of the divine and their earthly kingdoms were made manifest. They called upon their subjects not as prisoners, but as civic participants in an eternal legacy. This call to duty was wrapped in the ideals of service, overshadowing the grim truth that lay beneath. As the annual inundation of the Nile turned fields into ephemeral lakes, farmers exchanged ploughs for hand tools and joined the legions bound for the quarries. The labour camps, stark and crowded, provided minimal sustenance, and life took on the rhythm of relentless toil under watchful, unwavering eyes. Compensation came in the form of life's staples, bread and beer. These were not mere fare but vital forces, sustaining weary bodies as they laboured beneath the sun. Emmer wheat bread and frothy barley beer were more than nourishment. They were tokens binding the labourers to their gruelling tasks. The simplicity of these provisions belied their cultural significance, for they were indicators of survival and a tangible acknowledgement of work done. Yet their role was ironic. As they sustained life, they also tethered it, making the harsh conditions bearable enough to endure another day's toil, where subsisting intertwined with servitude. At the heart of these camps, the overseers stood as figures of both dominion and dread. Entrusted by pharaohs to impose order, their presence was a constant reminder of the divine burden placed upon the shoulders of man. With whips in hand and directives from above, they orchestrated the labour, a mix of power and pragmatism, ensuring stones moved, dreams were etched in granite, and lives crushed under the monumental shadows they built. While some meted out their roles with a measure of fairness, others were steeled by authority, wielding fear to maintain control in an atmosphere where survival hinged on appeasing their unpredictable whims. In this sprawling narrative of construction and sacrifice, personal identity was often lost, eroded like rocks in the wind. Lives were lived in the service of great achievements, yet were consigned to anonymity, their stories buried beneath the grandeur built on their backs. The sands of time preserved pharaohs and edicts, but washed away the individual, those who lived and died without witness in the monumental shadow they helped cast. It was a bitter irony in a society where the remembrance of one's name was seen as a step toward eternity. The machinery of labour was relentless, driven not just by physical demands but by an indifferent fate, where death lurked at every corner. The peril was ever present, from accidents and diseases to the unyielding harshness of their environment. Workers were replaceable, their roles swiftly filled by new faces conscripted from elsewhere. The bonds of camaraderie that formed were scant comfort against the onslaught of mortality that shadowed their daily grind. For those who toiled, it was a test of resilience, an act of defiance against the capricious nature of life, in harsh lands echoing with the hum of stone, being cut and carved into histories yet to be made. Despite the oppressive conditions, glimmers of humanity and routine emerged. Rituals formed the backbone of life, whether in morning meals shared in stoic silence or evening stories spun over the day's bread and beer. These small acts of community were bastions of sanity, offering meaning and fleeting purpose beyond sheer survival. As the sun set, tired hands eased into the comfort of companionship, anchoring lives eked out in dust and stone, and ascribing momentary structure amid relentless strife. But in the shadows cast by the tombs they built, the labourers' legacy persists, a testament to their collective effort. This great endeavour was not the work of solitary giants, but the result of a society's united ambition, an anthem of shared purpose echoing across time. Contributions ranged from artisans to medics, all entwined in a single narrative, dwarfing the divine figures who claimed solitary credit. A thin, egalitarian veil was drawn across the otherwise rigid social order, revealing an unacknowledged layer of profound collaboration where ambition transcended individual confines. The pyramids stand timeless as testaments not only to a pharaoh's divine claim, but to the invisible millions who, with sweat and sacrifice, etched ancient glory into eternity. Reaching the quarry at Aswan feels like stepping into a realm where the elements conspire against human endurance. The air hangs heavy, more so than the dust-laden winds of the limestone pits up north. Everything here looms larger, demanding greater effort. Massive slabs of granite lie in wait, embodiments of a silent, unyielding challenge. Set against the desolate canvas of the Nubian desert, the landscape contrasts fierce reds with grim greys, bathed in a sun that imprisons more than it illuminates. The sun bears down with relentless fervour, a constant companion whispering tales of endless toil. The limestone quarries of Giza seem infernal, but Aswan is a kiln fueled by purpose and desperation. A brief survey of the sprawling expanse reveals less labour for more stone, an equation where fewer hands must perform Herculean feats. Each worker feels the distant gaze of the pharaoh, expecting miracles hewn from granite. Hierarchies are invisible but inexorable, their phantom presence felt with each mallet strike. As daylight reinvents itself every morning, it exposes a different challenge, a new layer of tasks devised by unseen overseers whose demands echo through the dust-filtered light. Granite is more than mere material. It is an adversary that refuses to yield. Standing before vast fields of this ageless rock, workers quickly learn that neither brute force nor copper will suffice. Granite's rigid patience and immense density mock every futile attempt. It demands all from the spirit without offering compromise. As labourers begin their arduous task, each swing of the dolerite pounder reverberates through sinew and bone, testing their resolve. Here men become whispers against the granite's indomitable roar. Necessity begets ingenuity, and fire becomes an ally in this struggle. Flames lick the stone's surface, warping the air and leaving vaporous ghosts. Granite's edges expand under heat, its defiance stretching and stressing until a sudden quenching. A dousing of water rewards patience with satisfying cracks, rare and precious. Yet triumph comes at a cost. Each torrid burst yields noxious fumes and torturous temperatures, reminders that granite yields only grudgingly, if at all. Imagine the soundscape, a cacophony of hammer strikes, a symphony of labour echoing through the quarry. This relentless din forms the backdrop of daily life, more than mere noise, a rhythm learned, embedded in the marrow. Men become conductors of this harsh symphony, harmonising through waves of dolerite against stone. The sound drowns out weariness, leaving only the purity of motion, the act of survival. In this brutal harmony, camaraderie thrives unspoken, an understanding hidden beneath grit, binding worker to worker in both purpose and suffering. Fire in Aswan consumes the spirit as much as stone. Under unrelenting heat, flames serve dual roles, weakening granite and sustaining life. Fires burn relentlessly, their smoke etching a persistent grey against the sky, while outside the flames, the sun mocks with its intent to sear flesh and ambition alike. Mirages dance upon heated air, taunting with visions of relief. But there is no escape, only the fleeting reprieve through carefully managed flame and shadow. Water from the Nile poses irony, tepid and rationed, a bittersweet offering to parched mouths. Survival in Aswan carries the trial by fire, an ode to endurance. Amid these harsh trials, a brotherhood rises, forged by sweat and shared suffering. Class fades under the glaring sun. Distinctions between conscripted labourer and artisan blur, each bonded by the unyielding weight of granite. Companionship shields against a crushing reality. This defiance of despair takes many forms. A knowing look, a supportive hand, bread shared beneath a granite overhang. As comrades, Alliances are nurtured through shared tales. Laughter echoed beneath stars. Each story a respite. Each kindness a balm against the jagged truths of day. Tools become extensions of flesh and agony. Each scarred dolerite pounder a tale of battles fought. These implements are more than mere instruments of labour. They symbolise a bond between man and task, witnessing the daily erosion of body and spirit. Relationships form, as personal as those between the men themselves. Shaped by toil, wrapped in leather and tradition, tools become mirrors of their wielders, bearing witness to each chip and clash, enduring alongside their human partners in struggle. The scarcity of provisions dictates the rhythm of life in this environment. Bread and beer, their rations a pale echo of sustenance, underscore the fragile balance between endurance and exhaustion. Every morsel is precious, every drop of water a victory over desperation. Scarcity demands cleverness, with crumbs becoming currency. Water a lifeline meticulously rationed. Life achieves its art here, surviving against the odds, each turn a decision balancing personal need with the shared hope of enduring another day. Granite's resistance holds menace, its every splinter a potential weapon. An ill-judged blow can unleash a sharp edge as deadly as any weapon. Blood mingles with dust, a testament to stone's brutal retort against incautious efforts. Missteps threaten life and limb. Exhaustion cloaks danger in slowness of perception. But resolve finds resourcefulness in adversity. Makeshift splints, herbal salves sourced by the river. Here, granite becomes a living foe, its challenge woven into the fabric of daily survival. Yet even amidst these trials, men find expression in song. Melody offers escape, a respite beyond speech, lending wings to weary spirits. Songs root them in a shared humanity, far from the immediate. Vibrant voices rise, echoing against stone walls, entwining hopes, dreams and defiance. Through shared song they rediscover kinship, offering courage to withstand the Pharaoh's demands, finding solace in music that transcends toil. And as granite outlives those who toil upon it, their stories imbue stone into legend. Pyramids enshrine labourers' legacy, blocks heavier with meaning than any could imagine. Anonymous hands, wielding dolerite, immortalised tales breathed into resonant stone. These structures whisper their struggles, eternally shaping Egypt's history. Amidst time and adversity, human spirit remains indomitable, its narratives transcending granite's endurance, an epic testament to resilience through the ages. Once the stone is cleaved from the quarry, the harsh task of transportation begins, a grueling saga as punishing as the creation itself. Envision a colossal limestone block, echoing with the ambitions of kings, demanding both force and finesse to budge. The workers form a line, knuckles raw and faces streaked with grit, struggling to coax life from the lifeless monolith. Coordination is vital, a symphony of synchronised shouts and tense muscles under the watchful eyes of overseers. Momentum must conquer inertia. Failure courts disaster as friction taunts their efforts. Logs act as primitive rollers beneath the immense weight, and ropes bite into the sand-slicked palms of labourers. Under the merciless sun, chants rise, binding the men to their task in rhythmic unity. This endless cadence defines progress in inches, with success whispered in the absence of injury. One misstep can unleash catastrophe, a moment's slip erasing hours of relentless effort. The journey is a perilous gauntlet, fraught with natural and man-made obstacles alike. Sands shift treacherously, devouring footsteps and extinguishing cries. Hard stone pathways clash with the stubborn bulk of limestone, each splash of dust a warning of unseen hazards. In building ramps, a feat of ancient engineering unfolds, where simple materials forge paths against gravity's tyranny. Yet all demands a labour of bone and will, inclines embodying the struggle between human resolve and relentless stone. Ramps are treacherous creatures. Misjudgment or an errant foot risks catastrophe, a stone unmoored, barrelling down with impunity. Workers, honed by experience, anticipate the calamities that may befall the unwary. Chants of ancient hymns seek divine favour, their sound a fragile tether between man and stone. At the summit, a pause breaks breathless effort. Here divinity and determination meet in earnest prayer and physical perseverance. As the stone crests the ramp, humanity and ambition claim a fleeting victory. At times the Nile herself takes part, turning stone paths into floating journeys. The river, eternal giver and taker, insists on skillful navigation. On deck, the currents play a dangerous game, where every crossing becomes a ballet of tension and dexterity. Ropes must hold firm against the river's challenging whims. Each submerged sandbank becomes a silent adversary, waiting to ensnare. The journey is not solely about stone or sand, it is the collective endeavour of a swarm of humanity. Linen-clad labourers, their skin shielded by oil from the sun's fiery lash, toil in organised chaos. Slaves, free men, and conscripts blur the lines of class. Anonymity supplanting individuality within the dust and sweat of shared toil. Overseers provide a measured cadence of inspiration and reproach, their authority looming like a desert spectre, ensuring that cohesion swims above chaos. Yet behind the command is involvement, a human connection despite the rigidity of rank and role. Among chants and shouts of friendships and rivalries, tales spun by faces weathered by duty and resolve. Fireside gatherings at day's end reflect unity drawn from shared suffering, a camaraderie unyielding in the face of dire circumstance. At the heart of this endeavour lies Egyptian engineering, a testament to ingenuity and resilience. Here physics meets faith. Levers, sleds, and human hands conspire to conquer nature's imposed limitations. Every lever, counterweight and roller becomes an emblem of practical wisdom honed by time and necessity. As each stone ascends, so too does the spirit, each movement a testament to the synergy of effort and aspiration. Overseers cast long shadows as both governors and translators between ambition and execution, juggling logistics with the ever-present pressure for progress. Their presence slices through the sweat and sound, a constant reminder of the unyielding eye of governance. Amid their stern countenance lies a flicker of humanity, brief and human, recognizing the web of endurance they, too, are woven into. Time measures its passage with unmerciful precision, urging stones to reach their destined place without delay. Under this relentless clock, labour becomes a duet with survival, as pharaohs demand eternity's pace. Sun and moon chart the rhythm of toil, courage a quiet yet undying refrain against the song of labour. As stones pass from Earth's grasp to their eternal resting place, lives are often surrendered, a solemn reminder of mortal frailty amidst mighty ambition. In these moments, loss echoes across the desert, a silent testament to the sacrifice interwoven with each stone's rise. Yet despite whispers of tragedy, the rhythm of life must continue unbroken. Finally, the pyramid rises, a celestial convergence where effort and ambition connect. Each block tells a story of blood and sweat, uniting the ephemeral with eternity in a dance of symmetry and purpose. Upon high ground workers sigh, eyes tracing the edifice that now exists in harmony with the heavens. Each stone signifies endurance, amid echoes of shared triumph and quiet resilience against the sands of time. The pyramids standing tall on the hazy desert horizon are not just monuments, they are majestic testaments to a civilization that was steadfastly obsessed with the notion of immortality. Each stone that makes up these architectural wonders was carefully selected and placed, ensuring the pharaohs assured passage into the afterlife. Ancient Egypt's quest for eternity is perfectly encapsulated in their grandeur. Yet beneath this facade of eternal glory lies a more sombre truth. The stones, for all their magnificence, tell nothing of the countless, nameless hands that painstakingly quarried and chiselled them, having their lives consumed in the process. These workers, toiling under the relentless sun, lived lives that were seen as mere instruments within a grand narrative, authored to stand the test of millennia. This dichotomy stands stark and unavoidable. For every meticulously placed slab of limestone in the towering pyramid of Giza, there was a human existence which, once it had served its purpose, faded into obscurity like dust swept away by the desert winds. When a pharaoh passed, elaborate ceremonies marked their exalted accomplishments, their visions embodied within the finished pyramid. However, for the labourers there were no chronicles of accomplishments, no scrolls to detail their sacrifices. Their stories became whispered legends in the sands, long forgotten even while the pyramids continue to echo ancient Egypt's unending cry for life beyond death. A narrative emerges painted in sharp contrast. Eternal glory reserved for a few, an unnoticed oblivion for the many. In the shadows of these monumental tombs, one can almost hear the silent cries imprinted on each block, echoing the ceaseless toil and struggle of those who laboured upon its unyielding surface. Overseers focused solely on meeting the pharaoh's unyielding deadlines, cared little for the quiet suffering etched into the very skin and stone beneath them. Each chisel stroke represented another moment of human effort, evaporating in the sun but forever captured in those colossal, silent witnesses. Yet, amidst their duties, the fractured spirits and battered bodies that lay claim to the surrounding dust go unnoticed. Lives that would never see praise or the satisfaction of work completed. Beauty in construction is not just in physical symmetries and calculated precision, but in the relentless perseverance of thousands. Still, the stones remain silent, unable to tell the myriad stories embedded in every crack and uneven surface. Human lives were bound tightly to the destiny of these timeless structures. Overgrown by time, these stones felt the hammer of men clutching desperately to hope amidst relentless duress. Emerging from their historical dust comes a picture, a dichotomy where stones earn reverence through inscriptions, while the labourers' identities decay beneath the sands of time. Amidst ancient Egypt's rigid social hierarchy, remembrance was reserved for the pharaohs and their wealthy retinue. Meanwhile, the invisible labour force, the backbone of Egyptian civilization, drifted into obscurity. Often brought in from surrounding villages, these workers, presumed nobodies, served purposes beyond their brief earthly existence. As they worked, these labourers harboured their own dreams and stories, rich with history now lost to the relentless tide of time. The shortness of their lives seems cruel against the eternity readily granted to stone. These men are forgotten names, their identities silenced within the walls they constructed. Their sweat immortalises another's glory, They're unheard narratives, yet to be pieced together by historians. The lives of these labourers, harsh and fleeting, are reflected in the monumental stones they carved from the earth. Under the watchful eyes of overseers, they shaped their life's toil from the desert bedrock, slicing through limestone with rudimentary tools, painfully etching their mark into history against an unforgiving passage of time. Their days were not measured in years, but in the tons of stone moved, each block shaped and hauled into place beneath the unyielding sun. As each day of labour carved deeper notches into their bodies, they became as worn and weathered as the stones they lugged. Their stories, as individual as the chisel marks on the quarry walls, might have vanished into oblivion had these structures not stood as defiant testaments through the ages. Their shared sacrifices remain steadfast against history's erosion, mortal and transient within eternity's grandeur, stones marked by hands long turned to dust, their silent legacy. The rhythmic pounding of chisels, punctuated by the overseer's bellowing commands, once filled these architecturally perfect voids, sounds that have since faded back into the sands like an ancient echo. These workers, though overlooked in historical accounts, handed down stories of sorrow, triumph, and unwavering commitment to forces beyond their control. In uncovering these echoes, we find not merely limestone blocks, but artefacts from a forgotten world that resonates with modern sensibilities. The contrast between the exalted heights of ancient pyramids and the neglected souls who carved them prompts significant reflections on legacy. History's continuity is plagued with uncertainty, where echoes remain unfinished symphonies that speak silent truths. And so, as the chapter closes on this relentless journey, if the ancient world and its stories intrigue you, become part of this living narrative. Like and subscribe to join in uncovering more mysteries buried in time.